Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first session of our three-part series, From STEMs to Social Media, How to Have a Strategically Successful Holiday Plan. This first session, Plan, Prepare, and Execute with Efficiency, focuses on shop operations. Keith Harbison, AIFD, FTD Senior Manager of Quality, will be moderating today's session. As a quick housekeeping note, we will open up the session for questions at the end. If you have a question, simply type it in the chat box in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to submit your questions during the session. Let's get started, Keith.
Thanks, Janet, and good afternoon, everybody. As Janet mentioned, my name is Keith Harbison, and I am really excited to be the MC for today's chat. So the panel we've got today, while we're going to be talking about the times at the busiest season and how we're going to plan and execute, I wouldn't be surprised if you may find a few nuggets in there that you can actually implement into your daily processes as well. So kind of pay attention and hopefully we have some good tidbits for you there. So before we get started, let's meet the panel. We have today three very successful florists and business owners. And, panelists, as I introduce you, feel free to say hello to our attendees. So we'll start with Leah Van Ness. Hi, Leah.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Sorry about that. Leah is a co-owner of Montville Florist in Uncasville, Connecticut, which I just learned how to say today. So I've got that one so far in the bag. We'll go on to Stacy Lee Banks. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us.
And Stacy is the co-owner of Lee's Flower and Card Shop in Washington, D.C. And last but not least, we have Jonathan Morrissey. Hey, Jonathan.
Hi, everyone.
Jonathan is the co-owner of Richmar Florist in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So you met the panel. We have a lot to pack into the next 30 minutes. So let's jump right into the questions. So the first section we want to talk about is all centered around planning. And I know there's so much to think about as far as getting ready for a holiday. But if you had to think about it, and Stacy, we'll start with you. What is your top priority to ensure a successful peak period?
Well, as you know, Keith, planning is very important to having a successful holiday. We actually start planning for the next holiday right after, immediately after the current holidays. Say, for instance, Christmas, we start thinking about Valentine's Day right away and start our staffing, our product assortment, and things like that. Just especially this year with COVID, we were worried about a vase shortage. And so we had to figure out what vases we were going to carry for Valentine's Day and order them early so that we could get them, be sure to have them.
Yeah, so I'm sure you're well into Mother's Day at this point. Leah, how about you? How do you guys focus?
We take a lot of notes. So right after the holiday, we discuss what was successful and what was unsuccessful. And we have a file for all of the holidays. So when Valentine's Day, say, is coming around again, we will pull the file out right after Christmas and go over what worked and what didn't and start our planning that way. So it's usually about 3 or 4 months prior to the holiday.
Yeah, I bet hindsighting is very crucial, I think, right? And being able to move forward. So that's yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't remember what happened last week. So I certainly wouldn't remember what happened last year at Valentine's Day, for example. So I would want to have those notes to refresh my memory.
Very smart, very smart. Jonathan, how about you?
I rely, a lot on historical data. We're always comparing year to year, whether it's, amount of pieces delivered, amount of pieces made, amount of employees in the building, and one of the good things is that we'll chart how much product we ordered for each holiday, specific items, specific amounts. We'll even price what we were quoted for each supplier. That's a huge factor in making money the following season and knowing what did you charge for it, what did you pay for it. Really, historical data is probably one of the most important things if you want to make money in this business.
Yeah, it seemed to be a common theme, I think, between the three of you. So that's awesome. So here's where you have a chance to kind of put on your mentor hat. And if you had an opportunity to talk to a newer flower shop, what's that one good piece of advice that you would give to that owner to make them successful in a peak period, Jonathan?
Well, every holiday you give up when you're in this industry, you're going to give it up. These ladies, and you, Keith, you know that very well. So you already know that your expenses are going to be high. One of the most important things on a holiday, more so even than a normal day, is profitability. You're going to pay more for everything. You can charge more for everything. Make sure that you have a nice happy medium. Make sure that you make some money, because you're going to work very hard to make that money on those peak holidays. And make sure that you have product for the day after too. Don't run out.
That's a smart tip. Leah, what do you think? What would you tell a newer florist?
I would say plan for the unexpected. This past Valentine's Day, our delivery van died the big, awful death 4 days before Valentine's Day. So we had to kind of scrap our plans and figure out something new. So preparing for the unexpected, or just having the mindset that whatever happens, you'll be able to cope and deal with, would be my bit of advice.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. And Stacy?
And we recently started doing this one. This advice is to streamline your product selection for containers and flowers. That way you don't have to have a lot. Well, you can have a lot of inventory, but just specifically for those certain products that you're going to feature for that holiday, and just have a solid staffing plan, and make sure that you have enough staff, but not too much staff to succeed.
Excellent. So about inventory, that's a great segue into our next question. So, all the planning and stuff that we're doing up front, now we need to determine, what are we going to sell? What are we going to carry? So, Jonathan, I'll start with you again. How do you determine what products you're going to have, what price points you're going to sell them at? And then really ultimately, how do you really plan for capacity?
Yeah, capacity goes both ways. Capacity also goes with your storage and building, right? So you need to space out delivery dates for product. You don't want all this stuff to arrive one day, have this heaping pile that somebody has to cut. You want to be efficient with that, because you're still going to be doing business leading up to the holiday. We're busier now, even leading up to those days before the holiday, than we ever were. So spacing the building and being efficient is definitely important there. And I think one of the other notes I had when we were talking is back to that historical data again, is really, really important to build a spreadsheet of what you charged, what you paid for. Those things are extremely important. If I could pound anything in anybody's head today, is start building a database for yourself. Even if you're only going to deliver 50 pieces that first holiday, whatever it is, follow that data and follow your trends. This year, obviously, we anticipated a busier Valentine's Day. It was a busier Valentine's Day. So on top of that historical data, you also have to be paying attention to what's going on in your day-to-day business.
Yeah, data will definitely lead the way, right? So whenever in doubt, if you can use that as your North Star. So Stacy, how about you? How do you decide what products and prices?
Well, similar to what Jonathan was saying, the historical data that you can glean from your Mercury system is phenomenal, where you can check and see how many deliveries did we do this last year, and what is our goal for this year. And that's what we did for Valentine's Day. We set our goal on a certain amount of deliveries, and we almost got to that goal, and so we didn't have to cut off deliveries. But and also another thing that we just recently learned about is planning for an average sale, or setting that goal for an average sale. And this year, we said we wanted our average sale to be $99, and we actually went over that and up to about $114 for our average sale, which was really phenomenal for us. We were excited that we did that this year. So
yeah, that's amazing. You guys. Yeah, you crushed it. That all goes to the bottom line too, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely. But we didn't have to work as hard to to get to the a good end.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And Leah?
One of the things we do is perhaps do things a little bit backwards. We have an incredibly large delivery area because where we are located in Connecticut, it's fairly rural. So when we line up all of our delivery people, we figure out approximately how many deliveries they are able to deliver in a single day. And that is sort of our yardstick. That's what we will accept that number of deliveries. We will work towards getting that number of deliveries, and being able to access that information on our FTD point of sale system allows us to know when we need to sort of gently guide the customer into selecting a different delivery day. And that helps sort of that allows us to spread the deliveries out over several days rather than have a very heavy day and then a very light day.
Yeah. And do you, as far as products go, do you develop a line specifically for a holiday, or price points you try to hit?
One of the things we did very differently over the past year, which we found to be quite successful, is really limit what the customer's options were. We sold a lot of color rather than particular flowers. So that allowed us to shop what was available. This year, past years, everyone knows, has been incredibly challenging. So we were able to fulfill everyone's orders with flowers that were available. And because we were selling colors and not specific flowers, we never disappointed any of the customers.
Yeah.
That allowed us to sort of go wide, not deep, in what we were purchasing.
Yeah, that's actually an amazing tip, right? Because you can do that with some of your business, maybe not all of your business. A little more difficult, if you're selling off a website or something like that, and it's something somebody has seen. But certainly do not box yourself in a corner. I think that's a great tip. So Leah, we're going to stay with you. Kind of almost hit you with 3 questions in a row kind of here. But so who's involved in the holiday planning with you? I'm sure you don't do it all by yourself.
No, I own the flower shop with my sister. And we, as Jonathan had said, we have a lot of historical data. But we also realize that our client base is a lot younger than I am. So we will bring in my daughter to talk to her about flowers and colors that are trending. She is in her 20s. We speak with my sister's daughter, who is in her 30s, just to get sort of a different point of view. And then we talk with our wholesalers as well as our employees. We follow people on Instagram. We look at what is trending, just to allow us to not just be dependent on my taste or my sister's taste, but to really sort of appeal more to the masses.
I love that. How about you, Jonathan? What do you got, or who helps you with the planning, or how do you?
Yeah, my dad and I, own the company. We're 4th generation, so we've been at it, pretty long time. But we try to come up with specific tasks and have everything framed out for our employees so that it really takes the thinking out of it for them and they can just focus on their jobs. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about what we do later, but we found that if we have everything kind of structured for them, it just makes it easy. They focus on their tasks and they're good to go. We try to keep them out of that and just try to keep them focused on what they need to do.
Excellent. And Stacy, do you share that planning with somebody as well?
Yes, similar to Leah, my sister and I co-own our shop. We are 3rd generation owners of our shop, and we collaborate a lot. We usually have to do it either in the early morning or late at night, just because the everyday traffic is, work day kind of gets in the way, so we're not able to plan. But we also, this year, we did a lot of Zoom calls with our whole staff. Like we met with the drivers, we met with the design and sales, and I feel like we were very, very set for this year because we did do a lot of planning, and so it really helps to plan and know, set your goals and know what you're working towards.
I like the fact that you leverage some technology, right, that we probably all weren't really even used to a year ago.
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah, we certainly live on a lot of telemeetings. So let's pivot a little bit from planning over to preparation. So specifically around kind of hard goods, when do you order your hard goods? How far out do you start to prep those containers? And also then how far out do you start to design? So Stacy, we'll come right back to you here.
So this year, well, in previous years, we started about 6 weeks out. But this, just because we knew about the supply chain issues, so we were, talking with the vendors and making sure that they'll have certain things, and they weren't that sure. So we made sure that we ordered the key things that we thought we would need, certain vases. And I love that FTD has streamlined the website to have only I think it's around 4 vases that they feature. So that really helps you with ordering vases. Let me see my notes. And we start prepping containers about a week out from the holiday.
And start
So not too far out.
Yeah.
Because
We
we don't
start
want
actually inserting stems at that point. Yeah.
Sorry, say that again.
We start inserting stems at that point a week
No,
out.
no, we prep them by putting water in them and greening. We green, but we didn't put stems in till maybe 3 or 4 days out.
Okay.
Wanted everything to be fresh.
Sure, absolutely. Jonathan, how about you? How do you guys have to get going on that?
Yeah, we'll start about, like 6 to 8 weeks out, kind of like what Stacy said, start getting, start looking at past order history. But like one good tidbit I said when we were talking about it was, when you're through Christmas and you're through the end of the year, if you've had, a decent year, you could start buying up some of those containers and start deferring some costs back in the past year for Valentine's Day because they happen so close to each other. So, one of the things that you should monitor is when you get to the end of that, fiscal year, you should be looking to see if there's some extra money there, go out and get some of those containers, do some of those things so you have a little bit better cash flow coming into the following year. But same thing as what Stacy said, prepping ahead of time. You can fill vases 3 weeks out. We're constantly rotating through, just like I mentioned about receiving product. We're also shipping more and more out the week of holidays as people are just tired of trying to get things to someone on the day of the holiday, and thank Amazon and FedEx and all that stuff for that, because I think they've changed that all for us. People don't really care when they get it now. They get it early, they're happy getting it early instead of getting it late. So that's definitely been big for us, but those are some good advices there.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you as far as actually putting, other than foliage, putting stems in a vase? When do you feel comfortable?
We'll start that week, like if the holiday's on a Sunday, for example, like this year, we're starting on Monday, starting doing that Sunday, Monday-ish, like that's 7 to 8 days, because like I said, it's all about rotating that product. You're going to sell things leading up to the holiday. It's not just going to be that day where you sell something. You're going to sell something all throughout that week. So you should be able to rotate through that very well.
Yeah, for sure. Especially for Mother's Day, which is a little bit longer
Right.
of a holiday. Yeah. So Leah, how about you guys? How does your preparation go that way?
We start getting our hard good products about 6 to 8 weeks in. We are blessed with having an enormous basement, and each holiday has its own distinct area, which does make organization so much easier. We start greening our containers, I would say probably 2 weeks to 10 days prior to the start of the holiday, unless it is fall and Christmas, because we are able to use winter foliages and much, much longer lasting foliages. So we may start even a month earlier. As Jonathan said, you rotate through, so it just makes the whole design process much, much faster. Greening with all of your winter greens is time consuming. So the earlier you can start it, the faster the end of the holiday design work becomes. We start putting stems in vases, usually I would say 10 to 7 days prior to the start of the holiday. Our store is an older store and has an amazing cooler. So we have found our flowers are exceptionally long lasting, and that is one of the things that is working for us.
Awesome. Blessed with an exceptionally large basement and a awesome cooler. That's the two things makes a florist life easy, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure. And you brought up a great point about knowing which season you're in and kind of what flowers actually you can work longer with or shorter with. And so I think that obviously will play a role into how early and how soon you can start to prep that way. So what about, Leah, what about training for your staff? Do you have some type of formal training that you provide? Or how do you go about that?
We do actually, and quite often, well, one of the things that we do is we actually sort of cross-train. So my delivery people who normally just deliver flowers also know how to process flowers. So they are able to, in the 11th hour, drop, chop the ends of the stems off and drop them in a Kreisel solution. They know how to create a fruit basket, blow up balloons, stick a teddy bear in a bag, and what it's supposed to look like. We are a very, very small store, and so we don't have the opportunity to sort of have the like diva, all I do is design, that is just unheard of when you only have 6 people working in your store. So we do a lot of cross training, and in the weeks leading up to the holiday, particularly if our employee has not experienced that holiday with us, they have been hired, never have had a Valentine's Day or a Mother's Day or a Christmas. We have them read our historic notes as well. We discuss it. We go over some of how to handle this situation. And anytime there is an educational opportunity, we will pull them over beside me, or my sister, depending on who's handling the situation, and go over what we're doing and why.
That's awesome. And cross-training
Yes.
is great, because that'll also aid you in a plan B if you ever have to run to one. So,
and we always have to go with this.
So Jonathan, how do you ensure that everybody's on the same page?
Yeah, as I was just chatting in the chat here, we use like a buddy system where we'll kind of do a mentoring type system. We're always getting new people on a holiday because you need as many people as you can find, and you need good people. But a lot of times they're very willing, or they're very excited to come and work with flowers, but they have no idea what they're doing. So we'll rely on veteran, employees who have been there, have done it before, have worked on an assembly line. I mean, you always have somebody in the shop that's worked with you. It's very rare you go on a holiday where it's just all brand new people. So you always have somebody that's experienced it before. Utilize their experience, utilize your own experience, and empower those employees, to work together and, have a good experience, so they'll want to come back and help you every holiday.
I think that's great. That also helps the entire staff take ownership, right? Rather than it just falling on the 3 of you to have to carry the load for all of that training. I love that idea. All right, let's pivot one more time to kind of executing the holiday. So kind of when you get into the thick of things, how do you stay on plan? How do you stay in time? Do you guys leverage technology? What works for you to make sure that you're kind of, actioning as planned? So Jonathan, we'll come right back to you.
Yeah, I've really used the Mercury module quite a bit. There's some great reporting in there. If anybody's using like the Dove or other systems, I'm sure that they have all these reports in there. If you haven't, utilize those reports, start looking at them on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I'll even compare them week to week, month to month. I'm constantly looking at those things to see what's going on, in the industry. Where are we heading? Are we ahead? Are we behind? Where are we at? And also, when you're in the middle of a holiday, it's very hard to take some time and say, okay, where are we at? I'm constantly doing that because I want to see, do we need to find more product? Do we need to stop making more product? Where are we at? Do we need more drivers? Do we have enough people? Do we need to stop taking? So I think it's very important, even in the middle of the hurricane, to kind of have an idea as to where you're headed.
Absolutely. Stacey, what keeps you guys on track?
Similar to Jonathan, we do a lot of tracking on the Mercury system, and we try to set goals based by day based on our capacity. Let's see how many we can take today, that kind of thing. And once we reach the goal, we try not to take any more because we don't want to, want to be overwhelmed. And we just monitor that Mercury every hour for as far as deliveries to see if we can. We want to make sure that we can make each delivery in a timely manner, so we don't take too many. So that
don't overcommit, I guess, right?
Don't overcommit.
Great plan. And Leah, what can you give us in this area?
We use a lot of the technology as well, and I feel kind of like I am redundant, but the technology that is available to us is so important. We were laughing this past Valentine's Day how easy it is to create routes now when we are a second generation florist. And when we started, you would get a big map out and you would try and figure out how to like get all of the deliveries in sort of a big circle and things like that. And now it is something we are able to do in minutes instead of hours. And it is easy to forget that because we have had the opportunity to use the routing system for so long now, but it is something we are genuinely appreciative of. And so looking at the reports that says, if Valentine's Day is on a Saturday or a Sunday, historically Thursday and Friday are busier days, or that if Easter takes place earlier in the spring, we sell more plants because people are anxious to have something growing and fresh in their house. So all of those bits of technology that now sort of come second nature make things so much easier for us in the long run.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes all three of you good operators, is that you're realizing that there's been some great advancements in those. I remember crawling around on the floor with all my delivery tickets, trying to get them in a route. It was life is very different now. So definitely leverage some of those advantages that we have. So the next question is kind of that plan B question, right? So how do you prepare for the unexpected? Some examples might be you end up taking more orders than you thought you were going to get. So you may have to do something there. Or maybe there's some weather issues. We certainly just had an interesting Valentine's Day. Maybe there are employees that are no-shows, for unexpectedly for that day, or our favorite, not favorite topic of the year, of course, is COVID. What can you do to really kind of help put yourself in the best position to plan for the unexpected? I think Leah, will start with you again.
How do you plan for the unexpected? I guess you're old and you have lived through a lot of things, like your main delivery van dying right before a major holiday. I think you have to be willing to fail, to try something new, and remind yourself that we're delivering flowers and that they are important in people's lives, but no one is going to die if we don't get the flowers delivered. Recognizing that we are bringing joy to people's lives help us in a moment where a person is unhappy with a situation, that they forgot to tell us that she leaves work at 1 o'clock. And so when we arrive at 1:20 and she doesn't get her flowers and they're angry with us, we can let it be their bad day and not accept that energy. And I think the other thing is really loving what you do. I have been a florist for 34 years. So every day is different, and I am still as enamored with this industry as I was when I started. So it is an opportunity to be around beautiful things and and get to know people who appreciate what I do.
Yeah, definitely gets in your blood, right? I think probably everybody on this call would say that. So, Stacy, how do you kind of help plan for the unexpected?
Well, I think this year with COVID and the pandemic has really taught people how to be adaptable. And that's the main, advice I would give is learn to be adaptable, flexible, and able to pivot. And, like if a van breaks down, go rent a van, or, be able to just be adaptable to the whatever situation. What happens. Also, in terms of weather, it's really hard to plan for weather, especially in our town, Washington, D.C. If it just snows an inch, it's like we shut down. And, other places are used to having snow, but we're, even though we get snow once or twice a year, we shut down. But and then we had a terrible ice storm right before Valentine's. But we were able to pivot and still have a successful Valentine's. So my one word would be flexible and able to adjust.
Yeah, for sure. Jonathan, any insights that you can give us?
I just think that planning is important. If you have planned for this, especially around a holiday in the Northeast, Valentine's Day is like a bullseye for snow up here in the Northeast, as we all know. So, that planning is definitely important. So you want to make sure that you have set days that you want to achieve things. If that kind of gets, messed up due to weather, you already know, okay, well, we have to do this again tomorrow. So the time that you lose, you'll be putting back in the next day. That's why that planning in advance is so important, especially for people just starting out here. You really need to have a good game plan for all those things and just adapting on the fly. I mean, technology is so great now. You can switch the phones to your cell phone if you can't make it into work. That's what we did. We had 30 inches of snow like 2 weeks before Valentine's Day. Just switch the phones to my phone and answer them right from home. So you can still do business without even being there. I think this Zoom call is the perfect example of that. So making sure that you're utilizing all this technology that's available, not only in the point of sale, but even just the simple things as your cell phone.
Yeah, absolutely. It keeps coming back to technology. So I think we're really developing that area. So, all right, our last question. Now that we've kind of planned, we've prepped, we've executed, we've had a holiday. Now, how do we talk about the holiday? Do you guys share key learnings with your employees? Do you find ways to celebrate and acknowledge wins? Leah, what do you do for your team, or how do you do the post-holiday thing?
We will absolutely share how many deliveries we had, what our expectation was, and we are very, very transparent. We are also, because it is a family-owned business, we're also a little competitive. So we will have contests to see if you can guess the total number of deliveries for the holiday, or if you can sell a particular arrangement or upsell or things like that. And so we do give cash prizes.
Nice.
And I'm still waiting for the $40 I won at Christmas. And the other thing is that we celebrate. So we bring food into our employees the days leading up to the holiday. This past Christmas, we actually rented a movie theater, and we were able to have a socially distanced movie experience with, so they were able to bring their families. We have gone on hikes with llamas. We will do all sorts of things that are fun and a little bit offbeat, and it really strengthens the bond we have as a team.
Amazing. That's really cool. How about you guys, Stacy?
Well, during the whole year, we offer a sales and design commission for our employees. It's about 1%, but it really adds up. So during the holidays, of course, as volume goes up, your commission goes up. So that's one of the things that our employees look forward to. And we do similar team building activities. We go on boat rides and different things like that. So bowling. So all of those things are great. And we also bring in food during the holidays. So people, when they aren't able to take full breaks, they can just go get pizza or whatever. So those are some of the things that we do.
Yeah.
For
That's nice. Yeah. People like to be acknowledged, and
yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
Jonathan, bring us home.
We'll do a holiday bonus. If the holiday is successful, it'll be a tiered bonus, obviously, based on what people's roles are and how successful they were in, achieving that holiday success. So although I don't do something all year long, on those holidays when they are successful, we do for the 3 major holidays, obviously Christmas, and also for weddings too. If our wedding season is successful, those people that put in extra hard work for weddings, now obviously they didn't get that last year with everything that went on last year, but there is some incentive, to do that this year as well too. So
that's great. That's great. Well, that wraps up the questions I have for the panel today. We'll obviously have some more in the weeks to come, but Janet, do we have any questions out there from the attendees that we'd like to ask the panel?
Yeah, there's been some great questions asked in the chat, and thanks to the panelists for answering some of those. Just as a reminder, if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll be sure to ask them. I did have another question that says, does anybody change the size of their delivery area for the holiday? I know, Leah, you mentioned that yours was really big, so.
Does anybody, I'll just kind of leave that as an open question if somebody wants to jump in. Do you change your delivery footprint for the holiday, during the holiday?
We do. We make our delivery area a little bit smaller because it is sort of rural here. We can actually sometimes go half an hour from this delivery to the next delivery. So we make it a little bit smaller and the volume that makes up for the difference then. Unless it's a really good customer, and then we say yes anyway. So, but we sort of think that we make our delivery area smaller.
Yeah, you're in control of it that way. So anybody else, does anybody else shrink their footprint?
Ours is about the same. Ours is about the same, about a 20-mile radius.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll only change it, if we basically hit capacity. Maybe we'll get down to like our 2 closest cities if we have some flexibility at the end. Maybe if it's very last minute of the day of a holiday and we have some flowers available, we're flowing pretty well. If we've hit capacity, we'll still take on the city that's only 5-10 minutes away. Why turn that down?
Yeah, and just so everybody on the call is aware, FTD will do that for you as well. So if you do want to shrink your footprint as it gets to the actual day of the holiday or a little bit closer, you can always manage that through either your field rep or some of the staff at corporate. So we'd like to reach as many customers as we can, but we certainly want to do that with success as well. So what else you got, Janet?
Anyone have any good suggestions on finding new designers?
Teach a lot of hands-on design classes in my store. And if I come across someone who shows a special aptitude and they seem to really enjoy what we do, I will bring them in and train them as a designer, and then can use them for holiday work or wedding work as needed.
I love that. So they're secretly auditioning.
And they have no idea, and they're paying me to audition them. That's like the
I
best.
love that idea, Leah. I'm gonna have to use that one.
That's great.
All right, we've got another question from Krista. They would love to, they're struggling with designing most of their orders the day or two before. They'd love to design a week in advance, but worry about quality control. Any advice on ensuring the lifetime of the flowers?
Jonathan, you kind of talked a little bit about that. Can you expand on that for her?
Yeah, I forget. I think is it Smithers? I think that has a treatment system. You can have a plumber come in and hook right up to your water line. You buy the solution every week. We found huge success with that, so that the product gets all of its nutrients right as it's cut. We've been doing that for forever. I mean, there's a couple flowers like roses where we'll use like the dip, or hydrangea we'll use some extra nutrients for, but on the most part that should help hydrate your product as it comes out of the box, but also get you some extra shelf life out of that as well.
And one of the things that I do mention in our boot camp that we teach at FTD is, and I wouldn't just go into this before a holiday. You got to kind of ease yourself into this. But if you actually develop your flowers outside your cooler, try developing your flowers inside your cooler. If you develop them at a colder temperature, you'll actually create extend the vase life of those flowers. Now they'll take longer to open. That's where the understanding of how to plan for it works. But you can actually get your flowers in. You can build your bouquets earlier if you develop those flowers in a kind of a pro longevity approach.
We've had tremendous success using the Kreisel 3-part system. We had just this afternoon, I had a person call and tell me that they just threw their Valentine's Day arrangement away. I have no idea what it looked like, but they are, we regularly have people call us and tell us how beautiful the flowers were and how long they last.
Yeah, that makes you feel good when you get those little tidbits. You're right. You don't even care what it looked like when they threw it away because it lasted a month.
Exactly. Yeah.
I saw Rhonda was asking about, was I saying to design in the cooler? I'm actually saying to develop your flowers, to hydrate your flowers in the cooler. If you hydrate at a cooler temperature, the flowers won't respirate ahead of schedule. And because every time you do that outside the cooler, you actually lose vase life. So if you hydrate at a cooler temperature, your flowers will last longer. However, they'll take, like lilies will take maybe twice as long to actually start to open. So that's the part. Alstroemeria will take longer to open. So you have to plan differently. So don't just do that in the beginning of a holiday and think you're going to get the win out of it without the planning and understanding of how you have to, the length of time it takes to develop the flowers.
All right. Thanks, Keith. It looks like we are out of questions for today. Just want to thank everyone for attending. A recording will be available on demand on the FTD Mercury Network Florist YouTube channel. And for more sessions, visit ftdi.com to register for other free webinars and design sessions. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.